All right, guys, I want to show you a pretty ambitious project here. Going to try to do a complete printed build with a skeletonized frame here. So one of my subscribers had emailed me with some questions about some other blasters, which all of you feel free to do. The caveat is obviously I don't know the answer to everything, but typically I know someone who does. So if I don't know the answer, I will try to find out for you, try to help you guys out. But that same guy was telling me about investigating some of the CNC aluminum frames that are skeletonized that they have in Australia. And he liked them a lot, but of course they're crazy expensive. So the market over there is definitely skewed a little older. And those older users typically have a little more disposable income, and they're really hardcore into gel ball blasters as well. So the CNC aluminum frames like these can be, close to $1,000, especially if you try to get one shipped over here. So he kind of inspired me. I knew I'd seen these out there before, these files, and I knew I could print them, but I just hadn't taken on one. It's just a bigger project. And until I had my newer, faster 3D printer, it would have just taken too long, and I just wouldn't have printed the pieces because it would have taken at least a week. So what I did is I thought, let me see if we can do this. Let me see if I can put this all together and make this work. So I found a frame, the skeletonized frame, and printed it out. Now the downside is all of these are usually made to the dimensions of specific airsoft blasters, and they don't always fit what I'm trying to put in them. So did run into a few things I'm going to talk about with that. But I think everything's going to work out and go together. Of course, I say that now, but who knows once we actually put everything together and test it. Of course, I'll be doing a lot of testing as I get it together before I paint it out and everything. But even when I do that, sometimes it ends up going south. So I had a nice upgraded gearbox from GELBLASTERGUN.com in an ACR J10. And that ACR J10 just always seemed to have some issues. And I thought, well, let me go ahead and use that somewhere else instead, just because it wasn't really getting, the use that it should in the blaster that it was in. So that's what we got going there. So that's a nice upgraded gearbox, metal gears. You can see it's got the nice cylinder, the nice nozzle, everything. Unfortunately, I don't have a metal inner barrel to use on it right now. So that is what it is. But we're going to go with this Cyma style channel here and the clear inner barrel because that's what I had, and then a nice upgraded motor as well. So got some nice internals going in, and I thought that would look the nicest too to show off a gearbox. At least you see the cylinder there, which looks nice, right? I will be able to reuse this outer barrel. Okay, so I'll go ahead and probably end up using that. If not, I can certainly print something similar. So looking at the receiver here, right, the upper and the lower, I had printed one full lower and the gearbox would not fit. And it turns out that whatever this was made for, this piece right here was just off. Now, like I said, I can do some resizing, I can do some cutting, some manipulating of files. I can't do modeling. And it wasn't as simple as if you scaled this up, that's going to scale everything up. It's going to cause a lot of problems. So since this was skeletonized, I thought this would still look okay if there was a little bit of exposed blaster back there. So what I did instead was I basically took this back piece here, cut it at an angle so that this is going to go on like so, right? Then we got the nice grip here with that beaver tail, which is going to cover part of it. But so there will be a little bit of exposed gearbox back there. Now, I don't think that's going to be an issue because I don't think it's going to look bad since it's a skeletonized frame, and showing a little bit of the gearbox back there isn't a big deal. Plus, a lot of it's going to get covered up with this drop stock anyway. So that's how that's going to work, right? So we'll just see a little bit of it exposed back there, which again, I don't think will be a problem. Now, up here, you can see, thought this was a cool charging handle to go with. Now, there's no priming on this, so this really is probably going to be stationary. In fact, I think I'll make it stationary, so it's really just going to be there for looks, right? And then over here, if I would go ahead with something like this, and then I'll make that stationary as well, just because it doesn't really need to pop open, but we still get the kind of cool skeletonized look, and we get that little dust cover or ejection port cover right there. All right, so got the drop stock. I'm going to attach it a little differently just because I think that's going to work best. So we've got that ready. Put a little sling, put that on there so you could attach a sling if you want to, right? For the handguard, again, just a nice skeletonized handguard. Here's your barrel nut. That's what attaches here. And then, like I already went over the inner and outer barrel. Have some other little pieces that I'm printing, just little, when it comes to the mag eject, that kind of stuff. And then the stock is over here. So here's a cool stock. Technically, the stock was actually made so that you could put RC car, like basically shocks in there, and it could be shock absorbing for, you could use it for a blaster or a firearm that needed that. But instead, I'm not going to do any of that. I just wanted the skeletonized look, and this was the coolest skeletonized stock I could find. So that's why I went with that. Printed a separate piece that'll just go on here, just so that I can do some color variation. So you see here, ran out of filament and had to switch to black. Switched to black because that was the exact same brand and type of filament. And even though I'd be switching to the same type of filament, it'd be a different brand if I went to white that I had on hand, and sometimes it won't be printing the same. So that actually printed out really nice. And then we got this piece. So again, that'll just be a different color, and that'll just be affixed there with probably glue and screws because I won't be taking that off and on. So that's kind of the build plan for the skeletonized version. You can see here, the motor is going to go in here. This is going to, pop open. Still have quite a bit of sanding work to do. But before I do that, I was going to put everything together and make sure it all works. So yeah, your motor is going to go in there and then mount directly to this. So that's really what holds the grip on. And then you can see here on the gearbox, this is typically where a pin like this would slide through. A pin like this would slide through here, and it would slide through, in this case, these holes right here. But I wasn't sure how strong that would hold, and when it's just getting pushed through like that, also I don't want to crack things. So instead, I took some rivet nuts and I put two together that are joined together in the middle there so that I can just go ahead and screw into each side. And that's what's going to secure this piece on here, right? So that's going to get screwed into each side, and that'll secure it on there instead. So to me, that was just going to be a better solution for this situation. Also up here, I went with a barrel nut inside each one of these pieces. So when I affix this to here, that I go that route as well. And I just thought that was going to be good reinforcement in there, and do better than just going straight through with a bolt. So that's what I did there as well. I did print everything at, like in the skeletonized frame, 100% infill. So what that just means is there's no like hollow parts. A lot of times when I'm 3D printing things, there's hollow parts inside. I didn't print the stock at 100%. I didn't think it needed to be because it's just, you can see it's a little beefier. But for any of these little pieces, I thought that was best. And again, with my new fast printer, not an issue. With my older printer, it would have just added so much time. So I didn't do that. All right, so there it is. My plan for my skeletonized, full custom gel ball blaster. We're going to see how it turns out. It's going to be a lot of work. This is a really long video. Sorry about that. Anyway, comments, questions, post them below. Let me know what you think. If you got any color ideas for paint, that type of stuff, let me know that too. And because I'm really not sure what I'm going to end up doing, probably a combination of a couple colors with pieces that are easily removable and can be painted and then put back on. All right, thanks again. Comments, questions, post them below. Please like those videos, comment. That really helps me out. Make sure you're subscribed. And of course, participate in the monthly giveaways. I love giving away the custom gel ball blasters to all of you that have supported me. And I want to continue doing that all through 2023. Thanks again. Check back for the completed video. This one's probably going to take me a while just because there's going to be a lot of detail sanding at first. Probably going to paint it with a texturized paint first and then go back with some colors just because That texturized paint helps hide any little imperfections, since sanding some of these really detailed areas is going to be hard. Thanks for the support, and make sure you're watching my videos.